Hey everybody, got the RV Wingman here. Hope you're having a great day. Thank you for joining me today. Now, if you're thinking about selling your RV, I need to get your attention. You have got a lot of options when it comes to selling and how you're going to do it. And one of my best suggestions, one of the best ways, at least in my opinion, is to consign your RV with an RV dealer. But choosing the wrong consignment dealer could very easily cost you thousands of dollars, and that's a fact. Now, I recently sat down with PPL Motorhomes, the industry leader in used RV consignment sales for the past 50 plus years, I guess, to discuss exactly what makes them different from all the other so-called consignment dealers. Now, before we get started, I want to be upfront and say, yes, I do consulting work with PPL Motorhomes. I do. But I'm not being paid a dime extra for this interview. Not a dime. In fact, I'm the one who said to my guest, Scott Stonehill, hey, let's do a video together about what makes PPL so special. And I had the idea of today's video after watching a movie on Netflix called The Founder. Yeah, The Founder. Check it out. Some people think that that movie was about McDonald's hamburgers. To me, this light bulb moment came to me, and I said, hey, that's the way PPL is. They are so smart. And I truly believe PPL Motorhomes is the gold standard when it comes to selling used RV. And nobody else even comes close to what they've been able to build over, like I said, the last 50 plus years. If you're thinking about selling your RV, do yourself a favor. Watch this interview before making any final decisions on where to consign. And as always, drop your comments or questions down below. When I drive up and down the interstate, Scott, or just about in any city where there are RV dealers, every one of them, it seems like, has a big sign that says, consignments, consign your RV here. But you guys have been doing it a long time at PPL. What makes you different? I know some people go, this sounds like a commercial, but you guys really are different. Been doing it a long time.
You know, Alan, we have been doing this for a very long time, and the company's been in existence for a little over 52 years now. And I feel that we've perfected the RV consignment piece of this business.
I think that people are they think that one consignment is like another, but it's really not at all. And you guys have perfected. Let me ask you a question. Have you seen that movie about the founder of McDonald's? Have you seen that movie?
I have.
Okay.
It's an excellent movie.
It's awesome. And folks, if you've not seen it, you need to check it out. But that reminds me of PPL in that, the McDonald brothers, they had a hell of a business. And there are a jillion places to get a hamburger, but none of them were like exactly what McDonald's did. There's a lot of consignment dealers, but they're not exactly like PPL does it. What sets you guys apart from everybody else?
Well, I feel like, and I've been in this industry for 35 years, and I've worked for other big box stores, big box dealers. I've worked for other independent dealers. But in the time that I've been with PPL, which has been for the last little over 2.5 years, I have determined that they do consignments, we do consignments different than everybody else out there. We approach the consignment the way I feel a real estate agent approaches a listing of a home. And I think we look at that asset in a way that other people don't. Most of your big box dealers look at consignments as extra inventory, and it's not really their primary source of revenue or their primary source of profitability. It's just extra inventory to have on the lot. They do an adequate job of trying to move that unit for the owner. But for the most part, their primary responsibility is to sell their new and used inventory that they own.
And PPL does not sell new RVs. And because you only get paid when you actually sell an RV,
correct.
You get really good at selling these used RVs. I mean, really good.
Right. And I have many friends in the real estate business, and they don't get paid until the house sells, right? And we don't get paid until the RV sells. And so what we want to do is we want to take a very analytical approach to helping that seller get the maximum amount of money they possibly can for that RV. So First of all, we have a website that has been out there for years now, and we advertise in that way. And many people come to our website through a lot of different various fashions, but for the most part, we get their information, and that's a lead that comes into our team. And once our team gets a lead, then we reach out to that particular seller and give them information about how we do business, why we do it the way we do, and how we're going to maximize for them the return on the asset that they're trying to liquidate. And so once we're able to set an appointment to have them come in and meet one of our listing agents, that's where the real fun begins, because they'll show up with their RV. They'll come to the dealership. We'll go out and greet them. We'll inspect the unit. We'll even bring a member of our service team out there to go over the unit, just to look for opportunities that they may not have recognized as needing to be addressed. So, kind of like an inspection on a house, right? You find different things that need to be addressed. Maybe this needs to be painted, or that needs to be repaired, or just different things that will enhance the value
But
of that
hang on.
RV.
Doesn't every dealer do that? I mean, with every dealer that consigns, it sounds like would be normal for most dealers. Just
You would think it would be, but most dealers are only interested in getting the RV on their lot. They're not going to put any time, effort, or money into helping that seller enhance that unit. They're going to appraise it in their mind as if they were trading for it, or as if they were buying it outright. And that's what they're going to offer, right? That's what they're going to offer to try to get for the seller. We work it the other way. We try to come up with a game plan with the data that we have available to us. I mean, we've been doing this for over 50 years. So we have a lot of data in our system that will look up their year, make, model of their particular unit, and also other units of similar type and floor plan and condition, so that we can come up with a range, a price range that will effectively help them sell that unit. And usually we'll keep that range somewhere about $4,000 to $6,000 difference, right? Lower end to higher end. And similar to a real estate agent, they're going to tell a homeowner what the homes in their market, specifically their neighborhoods, are going for per square foot, and so on and so forth. We do a very similar analysis based on the condition of that unit. Once we've determined what that pricing strategy is going to be, then we sit down and we go over that with the seller in order for us to come up with, where are we going to price this unit as of day one? As of day one, this is where we're going to price it.
I would assume that a lot of the price has to be determined by me, the seller, saying, look, I need to get rid of this thing pretty quick, or, take your time, PPL. And it I guess that's why you sit down and visit with these people and find out their motivating factors.
Correct. That is correct. We know that the more time that goes by, just like a home that's on the market, the more time that goes by, then if you're not selling that thing in the first 60 to 90 days, then you're chasing the market. You're really chasing the market. So it's just like a house. When do you get the most activity on a home that's for sale? Usually the first 2 to 3 weeks that it's on the market, because it's new, right? It's out there. They're pushing it on the MLS. Well, we're doing the same thing on our website and on other websites. We're advertising it on RV Trader. We're advertising it on RV Universe. We're putting it on our PPL website. So it's getting the maximum exposure. And so by doing that, we can then gauge within the first 14 to 21 days, how many leads has that generated? Did we hit the price point correctly? If we're getting several leads on the unit, then we're priced right for that unit. If we're not getting activity on that unit, it's time to have a phone conversation or an in-person conversation with that seller and say, this is what's going on. This is where we started out the pricing. And maybe the seller wanted to price it a little above our range, right? And I'm not against trying to get a little bit more than what our data is showing us it will go for.
Right.
There are circumstances that every seller has, right? There's three buyers, and there's three types of sellers in my estimation. There's the seller that owns it outright. They've got a free and clear title. There's the seller that has a lien on it, but they also have equity in the unit. So the lien is less than what the unit is valued at. And then there's the seller who is what we call upside down. In other words, they owe more on the lien than what the unit is worth. And they're going to have to come out of pocket in order to liquidate that unit. And so we have to work with those three scenarios. Usually the one that owes more than it's worth wants to try to limit the amount that they owe or the amount that they're going to have to come out of pocket. And so we'll try a price point just a little above the range that we recommend in order for them to do that. Sometimes that works out, sometimes it doesn't, but we'll know within the first 2 to 3 weeks whether or not that's going to work for us.
And your website, I mean, I don't know how much work goes into it to keep it the way it is, but I mean, you have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of views every month, and people are addicted to it, Scott. I mean, I'm addicted to it. I go and I look at it, I wonder about and what floors me is that unlike real estate, RVs come in all different conditions. And so depending upon, if it's excellent, like new, or just fair, most of them are not just fair. They're much better than that. But there can be big swings in what the value of maybe a toy hauler or, some kind of a fifth wheel is from just in a 6-month period, depending upon what people are buying and the economy's doing, right?
No, it's absolutely true. And again, it depends on the time of the year. You mentioned it right now. It depends on, 6 months from now, fifth wheel toy haulers might be the hot thing,
Mhm.
it may be Class C motorhomes, but everything has a season. Right now, we're in the middle of we're at the beginning of March, right? We're going to be going into springtime. And so what happens in springtime? Bunkhouse travel trailers, right?
Mhm.
Class C motorhomes, bunkhouse fifth wheels, everything for the family, because the families are now thinking about spring break or summer, and so on and so forth. So those particular floor plans and types get hot, and there's more and more activity out there searching for those units. So the price points may creep up slightly at this time of the year for that particular model. And so later on, when the season winds down, those price points will drop. And so we have an algorithm that tells us when things are going to sell. And we know based on our history what's hot in the market in March, what's hot in May, what's hot in July,
And the
And
individual, the private individual, has no idea. And the
correct.
dealer, I don't want to get dealers mad at me. That's, because I work with a lot of dealers that sell new RVs, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when you focus only on used, and I mean, if you don't sell used RVs, you're not in business. So you
Right.
have to keep your finger on the pulse. And because you get paid, it's 10% of whatever you sell or PPL sells the RV for is what you make. So
That's correct.
the incentive is on you, PPL, to get me as much money as possible because you make more when I make more.
Absolutely. I mean, if you have a fifth wheel and we're pricing it at $65,000, our take is 6,500. You get the rest. If you have the title, then you get all of that difference, right? If you owe money on it, you get all of that difference minus what you owe, and we will send that payoff in. We will then transfer title. We will do all the paperwork for you, which is, part of the reason that people want to come to us and have the consignment done. We handle it from beginning to end. You don't even have to come back to the dealership once you've dropped it off to us and signed the contract that we're representing your unit.
I'm some of the things that impress me is, besides, it's just hassle free. I mean, it really is. And if somebody wants to sell their RV on their own, God bless them. I really mean it. If you can sell it on your own, you're willing to put up with all the stuff, the tire kickers and the dealers that come out and try to beat your brains in and don't tell you they're a dealer. All those games, you know, like I said, God bless you. But if you're looking for something that's easy, somebody that's been around, somebody that's going to do the job, if you're realistic as a seller, for 10%, you store it, you show it, you do all of that. And
We do every bit of it.
you don't get paid
Every bit
until
of
you
it.
get the money.
Yeah, we do every bit of it. And it really is a great service and a great value for that 10%. I truly believe that you can't go out there and get this done any better or for any less money than what we're doing it for. And I don't think you can get as professional a job as we do. We've been doing it for a long time. I think the interesting thing about PPL, since I've been with the company, is the number of individuals that work for this company that have been with the company for over 20 years.
Mm.
There are a bunch of employees here that have been with the company a long time. What that tells me is, number one, they love what they do and they're passionate about it, but they actually have a great work environment, and the people that they work for truly value them. And when people are truly valued, they stay and work for those people. They truly do. I've really loved coming to work here. I had heard of PPL before I came here, but I didn't really understand their business model as much as I do now. And it is truly unique in the industry. There is nobody that does it the way we do.
You know, going back to that movie that about McDonald's, The Founder, and folks, if you got Netflix, you got to watch The Founder. But
You do.
Those McDonald brothers at their hamburger joint, I know this, it's like, what are we talking about hamburgers? But they had a system. They had these, it wasn't just 2 or 3 people in the burger shop. There were like 15. Every one of them had a specific job. At PPL,
You know, I love the
go ahead.
I love the part of the movie. I love the part of the movie where they close the restaurant down and they're out there on the tennis court drawing exactly the layout of the floor and how the stations were going to be. And then they even had the employees come and pretend they were building the hamburgers.
But that's what PPL does. You've got people that appraise the RV, that take pictures of the RV. You've got different people at different parts of the team that makes it so streamlined that you sell an RV in I don't know, how many days does it take normally to sell an RV now?
Normally it's right around 70 days on average.
That's not
to sell
much.
an RV. No.
That's good.
No, I tell everyone, if you have a loan, make 2 more payments and we'll be rid of it for you. On average, that's the case. Some cases quicker. Some cases, maybe you might have to make that 3rd payment. But for the most part, we're averaging right at 70, just under 70 days in inventory before it turns.
And if somebody has an RV and everybody wants to get as much as possible, Lord knows, I mean, you know, everybody wants to, that's normal. But if someone is, you know, got their head in the clouds, honestly, they're just, I have heard that you'll tell them, I mean, you'll tell them the truth that and if they want to get rid of their RV, they've got to be honest, and they've got to listen to somebody that will tell them it's going to be in this range more than likely.
You know, people are emotional about their money and they're emotional about their possessions, right? When they bought the RV, they were emotional. Most people get emotional about going camping. And so when they purchased it, there was emotion involved. And now that they're having to sell it for whatever reason, you know, there are many reasons why people are selling their RVs, but most of those reasons are emotional as well. And so we understand when people have an emotional attachment to something, they're valuing that unit at maybe higher than what the market is. And so we have to have that honest discussion about, here's what the data is showing us. It's not PPL telling you that you have to sell it at this price. This is what the data is telling us in the market today. And this is the price range we're recommending based on that data. But if you want to try it at a higher price to start off with, let's try your price. And then let's have another discussion in 14 to 21 days and let's talk about what's going on. And then maybe reality needs to set in at that point. We need to have a price drop into the range in order for us to hit that mark where we're going to start getting more and more leads. But we have found that if we do this right, if we have constant communication with the seller on a 2 to 3 week basis, and we're talking about what's going on, and we can have a price reduction and then maybe a second price reduction. What other dealers don't do is that they will put a unit on the lot and they will not talk to that seller typically for weeks. And the only way they'll talk to that seller in most cases is if the seller actually calls in and says, what's going on with my unit? And by that point, maybe 90 days, 120 days have gone by and nothing's going on with that unit. And in order for them now to chase the market, they've got to take a significant price drop. Where if they had been with us at the beginning, we might have taken a 3 to 5% price drop at the beginning and then gotten attention and sold that unit. They would have made a lot more money with us than they did by putting it anywhere else. And again, there are probably other dealers out there that do a good job with consignments, but I have found for the most part that it's not a primary source of revenue for them. It's just a filler on the lot. And if they sell one, they happen to sell one, but they're more than likely focused on their new and their used inventory that they own.
Well, they make more money on the new than they do on the used, and they've got overhead that they've got to cover. So the incentive is to get rid of those new ones.
Yeah.
When it comes to other dealers, and again, I'm not bashing other dealers, but I have heard there are some scams, if you will, or some ways that some dealers have manipulated a consignment deal to where they make a whole lot of money. Whether somebody goes to PPL or not, go ahead.
No, it's heartbreaking. When someone puts their trust in a business to try to take care of them, and then they do things that maybe are unscrupulous, like calling the seller after the deal's over and letting them know that they have an offer and they would have to take less than what they contracted for in order for the deal to go through. I've heard those stories. I've seen that happen, and it's unfortunate.
Give me an example. Give me an example of that.
Well, there's a dealer out there that I know that they will sell the unit. The unit's actually done, gone, contracted off the lot. And the minute it leaves, they will call the seller and tell the seller that they still have a deal on the unit, that the deal won't go through unless they take less money for it, even though they've already sold the unit and curbed it. They've already let it go off the lot, and they've already got the buyer in possession of it. And then they end up increasing their profitability by making the seller drop their ask. In other words, what they were willing to take after the deal was already over.
So they just
already made money on the deal, or they wouldn't have let it go.
Yeah.
But now they're making even more money because they're asking the seller to take even less. The one thing that we do that nobody else does, or that if there are others out there, I'm not aware of them, is everything's transparent up front. Whatever we sell it for, the seller will know what it sold for, and they will get their 90%. We'll keep 10 and they get 90. So if we sell it for 70,000, we keep 7, they keep 63,000. That's the way it works all the time. If I have to take an offer to a seller, let's just say I'm selling it for 70, the buyer offers 65, and I've done all I can to try to get the buyer to move up on their number, but they won't. They're at 65, and they won't buy it unless they get it for that price. My job then is to call the seller, just like I would in a real estate deal, and let the seller know, this is what I have. I have a legitimate offer. They're willing to take delivery. This is their best and final price. Are you willing to take it? And if they say yes, we sell it for 65,000. We keep 6,500. So yes, I'm going to also take a piece of that. I'm going to lose $500 of that commission because we had to cut that price down. But we moved the unit. But that seller always has that option. They also have the option to say no. We're going to wait for the next deal, and then we move on. Or we hope that the buyer changes their mind and goes back up on their offer. But the seller's in total control with us at all times.
If I have to have some repairs made, and many used RVs need a little bit of, TLC, some detailing, some things like that. Y'all have a different division of PPL that just does that. I mean, you've got a parts department and a service, I guess.
We are a full service dealer. We have a full service department. We have a full detail department. We have a full parts store. Everything that's necessary, we can do. And as I stated, when you come in to list your unit, our service team is going to go out and do a free inspection just to give you ideas of things that might enhance that unit and make it more saleable for the next owner. And so we'll offer to do some of those things as well and give you an estimate on those things. The seller is able to either do those things or say, no, I'm going to sell it as is. And we will write up the contract that we're going to list it in as is condition. We have sold them in that fashion as well, but that's totally up to the seller. I've had sellers also put in $2, $3, $4, $5,000 worth of repairs on their unit, and then turn around and get a return on that because we were able to ask maybe $8,000 to $10,000 more than we would have been able to ask if we had not done those repairs. So we always weigh those options as well. Hey, if you invest this much, we'll be able to ask this much more. And so there's a return for them on that investment too.
You haven't said this directly, but I'm reading between the lines. You got a lot of buyers. I mean, you have a lot of buyers.
Yes.
You need people, some sellers. If some people want to sell, you guys got the buyers.
Well, I think you and I have discussed this before. The way we grow sales is by growing inventory. We will sell 30 to 35% of our inventory every month. Every month we will turn 30 to 35% of our inventory. So if I've got 1,000 units in stock, I'm going to sell 300 to 350 units in a month. But I've got to replenish that 300 to 350 units, right? I can't just sell those and then not replenish them because now I've only got 650 to 700 units on the lot. So we're constantly working to increase our inventory. And it's very, very important that we list more units than we sell. We're continuing to grow on a regular basis. I'm hoping that by the end of this year, our inventory levels are up to 1,600 units across all 5 locations. I think that would be a good number for us to be at. But we set targets every month for how many units we need to list. And then we also, for those people who need to sell that unit quickly, we also make them an offer to purchase it when they come in for their listing appointment. We will offer them both options. If you need to get the most you want for it, we're going to put it on consignment and we're going to work to do that. If you need to get rid of it right away, we'll offer to buy it. Now, obviously, we can't give you what we can get you on consignment because now we're taking all the risk. We're buying the unit. We're then going to own it. We're going to have to market it, and we're going to have to try to make a margin above what we paid for it. But we do offer that because there are people out there, and it probably about 10% of the time that a listing appointment comes in, they will take the offer that we make to purchase it. Because whatever the conditions are, whatever the reasons are, they need to get the cash quickly. And if that's the case, we'll do that. But for the most part, 90% of our people that come in for a listing appointment, they're going to list their unit because we can maximize their return if we do it on that basis.
What are some things people might want to think about before they consign with any dealer? Scott, I mean, we want to, you'd like them to consign their RV with PPL, but what are some questions they need to maybe ask the dealer that might be saying, hey, come over here?
Well, I think the biggest thing is what's going on in the market today. What are the factors that are going to either help me get my unit sold or keep me from getting my unit sold? And I think most dealers, I know we're going to be honest about what's going on in the market, what's going on with interest rates, because 70% of the people who buy RVs are going to finance them. Well, if the finance rates are high, then payments are higher. And so they need to know those things. That helps with pricing strategy as well. They need to know if there's any other factors that are affecting their ability to sell their unit. They also need to know if their unit is one of those that's what we call hot in the market right now, and maybe it is. I can tell you, I will bump my ask up for a price on something that I know is going to turn quickly because there's going to be more people out there looking for that unit than there are for other units. And so if I know I'm going to get 100 leads in the first week, I'm going to probably ask a little bit more money for that owner. I want that seller to get the most they possibly can. The other thing is, how well have they taken care of that unit? How long have they owned it? How much have they stuck to the maintenance plan that all the manufacturers put in their books that nobody reads, right? Their owner's manuals. I mean, who reads those things, right? The cool thing now is most of those manufacturers actually put those owner's manuals on an app on your phone, so maybe people will be more likely to read them. But maintenance is a huge thing. I ask every seller, when's the last time you did the roof maintenance? When's the last time you did a bearing repack if it's a travel trailer or a fifth wheel? Why do I ask those things? Because if you read it in your owner's manual, you're supposed to inspect your roof and spot seal once a year. On your bearing repack, you're supposed to do that annually. And I don't care how many miles you've driven it, how many miles you've towed it, you should be doing a bearing repack. And while they're doing the bearing repack, they will then check and adjust the brakes on your trailer. Well, we certainly want to do that because that's a safety issue, right? So we want to make sure that that unit is safe for the next owner. So there's a lot of good questions to ask, but most of it we will go over when we do the market analysis and we sit down and talk about pricing strategy. We will let them know exactly what's going on in the market today.
I just don't understand. I mean, I've been around a long time. I don't understand why most people wouldn't at least want to consider PPL at 10%. I mean,
Yeah.
You've got a whole team. It's not like one sales guy's over there, and then whenever we get a buyer, we'll go over and do the paperwork. You got a whole team. I mean, specialists.
Our listing appraisers, our listing people have been doing this for a very long time, and their specialty is to help that seller maximize what they're getting for that unit.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the name of the game.
It is. It is very much so.
So if you made it to here in the video, I think you'll agree, at least I hope you'll agree, that PPL Motorhomes isn't just another dealership that takes consignments. Consignments, it's what they do, and they do it better than anyone. Selling your RV can be stressful, I know. That's why choosing the right partner to help you can make all the difference in the world. If you're considering selling, do your homework. Check out all your options before you make a final decision. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Go ahead and drop a comment down below or any questions or experiences you've had with RV consignments. And if you've got an RV problem that you need help with, you know where to find me. The phone number's on the screen. It's 1330 Wingman. Don't want to spell it out. 1-330-946-4626. And email me at rvwingman@gmail.com. That info is also in the description down below. Thanks for watching, and as always, be safe, have fun, play nice, and don't leave your good manners at home.